specifically, and to want to spend the time and effort to really get into the details and work through that. And like Dr. Boucher mentioned, you will see the benefits of what his efforts are as we go out and look through the process or the building. And jump in any time here, Doug.
Okay. Maybe we should explain a little bit about the three different design processes. Design, bid, build. The owner hires an architect. The architect draws up the plans and specs based on what he thinks the owner's wishes are, and then they put it out to bid. At that point, they can move forward and build this project, or if for some reason there's budget issues or something like that, they might have to rebid it or redesign or something to get it back in the budget. With design build, the owner hires a contractor, and the contractor hires an architect and the engineers. And so the owner gives up a little bit of direction and leaves it up to the design builder. He directs the architect to build it the way he wants it to fit with his agenda, could be, or what he believes the owner wants. So there's a little bit of risk shifting there. Design builder takes on more risk. The owner gives up a little more direction. Really doesn't know what he's going to get throughout the process. And let me know if I'm not explaining this correctly or clearly. The construction manager, the owner hires a construction manager, and he also hires the architect. They work together as a team all the way through the early design, the conceptual design. The architect does the design ed specs. They go through and talk with the teachers and the administrators to find out exactly what they want. And this is all done as a team throughout the design process. The construction manager puts budgets and estimates together at each phase so that they know they're on track by the time it goes out to bid. Idaho requires construction managers to do this as they call it agency, which means the school district would hire each subcontractor directly. The contracts would be with them. That's called agency, and state law requires that.
The state law, one more time, state law requires what? The school district to hire the subcontractor?
No, the CM does it as an agency, as a consultant. There's two different types of CM. One's an agency and the other one's a risk, where the construction manager is also the constructor and he holds the contracts with the subs.
So under CM, there's basically more control. The owner has more control over the process, but also more work, I would assume.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
One of the things we can go back and talk about a little bit, I think, as to add to what Doug is talking about, design, bid, build, the general contractor, the state requires competent, which means they have a public works license. That's the size of the project. They're qualified to have the license for the size of the project, as well as being able to be bonded. That's their requirements for the low contractor. At that point, as an owner, the owner and the architect are trying to give everything that's in the design. The contractor's responsibility at that point basically is to cover their risk, and it's them to get their project and protect their budget. So that's when we talk about risk as far as owners, and so your advocate at that point is the architect as an owner. Design, bid, build, you have the same kind of relationship. The design builder, once the project is designed and ready to go out and is bid, the design builder then is at risk. They have to protect that cost of design build. It kind of minimizes some risk for a district or an owner, because design build is built around the amount of money that is available. If you have $100 in your project, that's what you have to spend in the project is $100. I mean, just the numbers don't make sense, but that's what the design builder builds to. That takes a lot of time as far as an owner on your side. Just to get proposals for a design build contract, you'll need to be able to write down or have a defined scope of what it is you're looking for. Square footage, requirements in the building, any sort of finishes you're looking for. All those things fall on your shoulders before you can even get a design build contractor. So that adds time and effort. That's what it also takes some knowledge to know exactly what it is you're looking for. Construction management, you get to select who you're working with is not only the architect, but the construction manager is also professional service. So you interview, you put out a request for proposal, you get an interview, you get to select the company based on their past history and who you think you'd like to work with. They are going to be working with the architect and yourselves as far as being a team member to support you and your district. They're an advocate for you. When Doug talks about having you hold the contracts, the construction manager manages all the contracts. They manage the budget. They manage all the process. The contract is actually held by the district. This is what's happening here. And there are 49 contracts, I believe. Every contract that's being held by the district has to provide not only a public works license, but they have to provide a bond as well. So you have a layer of risk mitigation across the board where every subcontractor, or they're called prime contractors in this relationship, they're all protected with a bond. So you're protected with a bond. In a design bid build, the general contractor has a bond. If he has a sub-tier contractor go out of business, there's nothing to protect him unless he requires on his own to get some support. So the district has some additional risk if a general contractor has somebody go out of business underneath him with a large contract. Might be more than they can handle, and puts the whole project in jeopardy. Time-wise, the general contractor's bond would cover the issues that would come back to the district, but it just throws everything into a time problem. So there are some additional risks with that method.
And like said earlier, it just depends on how much involvement the district wants to have throughout the process. If it's all hands-on and want to be at all the meetings, design meetings and everything, then CM is a good way to go, because everybody sits around the table just like this and they talk about issues and designs. You'll hear a lot of talk about fees or risk, overhead and profit, all that sort of thing. A construction manager's or a builder's fee is his overhead and profit. And overhead and profit is all based on risk. So the construction manager typically has a little less risk throughout the whole process, so the fee's typically lower than you would a design builder. And one advantage of a CM is you know what that fee is up front. I don't know if all CM companies do this, but our fixed fee is a set fee, so we know what that is all the way through the process and it doesn't change. We also manage the change orders that might come along if the owner decides to add something here or there. We can get fair pricing from the subs, make sure it's fair. If it's not, we put it back out to bid. Put together a proposal for the owner, and we don't mark it up any, so he gets straight pure cost out of that also.
So in analysis of what they explain to you, it's technical in nature. They've done a nice job explaining. So you look at basically 3 delivery methods, what they talked about doing: design, build, general, or CM. Now, we've used both. We haven't used design build, but we've used both the general and a CM. We used the general when our school burnt down, because what you want to do if you're using CM is use them to their fullest. And so my opportunity to use them to their fullest is you get them way early. And on this project being 5 years, it made sense to get them way early. So they were hired probably 2 years prior to the bond running, and they worked from ground up all the way through the budgeting on the bond. In fact, as Matt and I had and Doug had an opportunity to have the architects run the budget, they ran the budget, I added to the budget with other things we wanted, and we changed that thing right up until the time that we went public with it. We had actually 3 budgets. We were at 35 million before for the school, before the construction escalated and took off. Then we went to 49 million within 2 weeks prior to going public. And then the last review they gave it said, you know, Rich,